Thank you for being here. My questions initially are about PFAS. So if we've got any people on PFAS.
Senator.
Fire away, Mel.
Thank you, Ms Perkins. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
The PFAS Investigation and Management Program Snapshot 2024 document shows Defence has invested $706 million to remediate PFAS contamination on Defence sites. Defence has also been responsible for 2 class action settlements for $212.5 million and $132.7 million. Are those included in the $706 million, or is it an additional cost?
Senator, that's a terrific question. Defence has, in fact, the Commonwealth has in fact settled 5 class actions, including those you refer to there. It is my understanding, but I will confirm over dinner, that the first figure you referred to, which is our expenditure
706
on the remediation program, is separate to the legal settlements that the Commonwealth has made. But
okay.
I will confirm that.
Thank you. So what about Defence's total legal costs to fight the class actions? Are those included in the $706 million? Probably not.
I would have to have my colleagues from Defence Legal confirm that for you, Senator. I manage, through my business, the investigation and remediation program, not the legal settlements.
Okay, so we've got an expenditure of over $1 billion then so far. 706 plus the class action settlements.
But as I said, Senator, I will take that on notice and confirm the elements of the spend over dinner.
Thank you. So I acknowledge the extensive work and resources that Defence is putting into treating the 27 Defence PFAS contaminated sites within the Defence bases, but the remediation will not solve existing contamination in farmland. These are the residents who have been affected the most. Previously prime productive land, and I'm thinking of people I've met at Oakey, for example, in Queensland, prime productive land is now unusable for agriculture. Their properties have been depreciated to the point of being impossible to sell. They cannot get out of there. So that's where their super is tied up, everything. They've lost it. This is why the independent review of land uses around key Defence bases impacted by PFAS contamination was commissioned. So I thank the Department for including my office in the consultation process with Mr Varghese from memory. I understand the report is completed. When will that report be made available?
Senator, the report was completed and delivered to the government in early April. We are working now across the parts of government that contribute to work on PFAS, and the government will be considering that review and its recommendations in the coming months.
So that includes whether or not it will release the document?
Correct, Senator.
The report suggests grading land, and not grading as in bulldozer grading, but grading a land and categorising land based on contamination and rezoning so the residents can sell agricultural land as, say, industrial land, which is how many residents along Cabbage Tree Road in Williamtown have been able to get out and start over again. Newcastle Airport is now extending over contaminated land, another sensible use. This isn't a big-ticket item and it doesn't need a large pot of money. There's no reason to send it to Cabinet unless the intention is to let it die under Cabinet confidentiality. Is there any reason to send it to Cabinet?
Senator, as I mentioned, the report's been delivered and makes a series of recommendations. I think some of the points you've just referred to were the issues that Mr Varghese canvassed in consultation in affected communities and with other stakeholders like yourself. One of the challenges we've always had with the management of PFAS remediation is that accountabilities exist at all 3 tiers of government and across the community. And we're very mindful as we move forward in both the Defence remediation program and the broader Commonwealth approach is that we consider how we activate across state and local governments and industry integrated responses, and that will be the work we take to the Commonwealth Government to consider.
So that's what you're considering now before you take it to the government?
So, as is normal in an independent review, Mr Varghese has done a really valuable body of work, great consultation and made recommendations. We're working with colleagues in other parts of government, as you can appreciate from your question, the Department of Climate Change, Energy, the Environment and Water, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Health and so on and so forth, so that we can continue to advise government on an integrated Commonwealth response in affected communities.
Yeah, and I think, Senator Roberts, in fairness to the officials, because the report is before the government, there are some limits that they can on what they can tell you about the advice that's being provided. I think Ms Perkins has indicated that there is a process underway, but she won't be able to give you any further information about the particulars of the advice.
Thank you, Minister, for clarifying. I've worked that out from what Ms Perkins has said quite clearly. And I want to commend the way Mr Varghese approached us, and we've checked with residents, and he approached them with a very open mind and took good notes, apparently. That's not been characterised. They're not characteristics of the past ways Defence has tried to address this. So we can see a change going on. It seems genuine. So we're looking forward to the report. Minister, was there any additional funding in the budget for measures recommended in this report, as opposed to the ongoing remediation report?
I think the answer I'll provide is probably similar to the one I've just given, which is that the report's before the government and that response is being developed.
Minister, what about, has any consideration been given to suing the manufacturers of PFAS for the damages they've done to the community, to the environment and added costs to the Australian Defence Forces? I mean, we're talking millions and billions of dollars here, and these people seem to be, DuPont, 3M and others seem to be just getting off the hook.
I'm not trying to be difficult, Senator, but I am very reluctant to speculate about how the government might respond to the report that's before us, and so I really can't provide specific answers to questions that go to the specifics. Okay.
Two final questions on a different matter. Thank you, Minister. There's been reporting that the partner of Lieutenant Nugent, who died in the Whitsunday helicopter crash, was told in the weeks after the crash by a senior officer from Defence that she would be able to find someone new. Have you made any efforts in the Army to locate which officer made these absolutely horrific comments to the partner of a soldier who had just died, telling her she'll find a new partner? And have you done anything to reprimand or punish them for such heartless comments?
Senator Roberts, Lieutenant General Simon Stewart, Chief of the Army. Short answer to your question is yes, we have followed up on that matter, and we remain closely involved with all of the families who lost their loved ones on the 28th of July last year.
Thank you. So that's been rectified with the widow?
Yeah, we remain in close contact. It's a very, very difficult time for everybody involved, and we want to make sure that they're properly supported throughout this process.
And the officer has been either reprimanded or punished, but he's been addressed. What he said has been addressed.
Well, as you know, I can't go into individual matters, but
I don't want the names.
Take it seriously, and obviously make sure that we address all of those kinds of issues. And I can certainly assure the committee that all of our efforts since the evening of the 28th of July last year have been focused on making sure that the families, loved ones and the teammates of those that were impacted by the loss of those 4 soldiers have been and continue to be supported for the long term.
So did I hear you say the officer will be addressed or has been addressed?
Has.
Thank you. Last question. Yep. All right. General Campbell, you posted on social media congratulating the 2024 Napier Waller Art Prize winner, Kat Ray, for her piece, quotation here, Death Men, one word. A 157-centimetre high stack of post-death paperwork Kat Ray revealed after her husband committed suicide, dealing with the PTSD he had from his time in the Defence Force. General Campbell, you have been the commander of the entire Defence Force for 6 years. You've been in the highest positions of the organisation for at least 15 years. You've congratulated a widow who is talking about the complexity of the defence and veterans bureaucracy. You've been in charge of that bureaucracy. What have you done specifically to fix her problems?
Thanks, Senator. There has, I think, been a great deal of work done, both within Defence and the Department of Veterans Affairs, and I acknowledge the work of the Interim National Commissioner on Defence and Veteran Suicide and the work of the Royal Commission, which is ongoing but which has provided both some harrowing testimony and also extremely useful insights into how to continue that work to improve our organisation. And I am, as are the senior leaders of the ADF and more broadly Defence, committed to ensuring that continues to be the case.
Could you give me some specifics, please, that you've implemented to fix these problems?
Well, Senator, we are seeking to see a much more trauma-informed approach to the way in which we deal with people. We are now much more conscious of and are seeking to embed an awareness of psychosocial risk in the way we work, both with our people and our people experience service in the military. We've greatly strengthened the experience of transition for everybody in the force, and we've very substantially enhanced the integration between Defence and DVA. We've introduced personnel policies that seek to wrap those policies around the lived experience of an individual from before joining all the way through to beyond transition. That they are some examples of our efforts, and they are very wide-ranging, and I think that they are fundamental to developing our people, supporting our people, and seeing the capability that they create emerge.
What about transitioning people who are leaving the Defence Forces out of the workforce? Because I know I have enormous respect as a result of conversations I had with veterans 40 years ago, enormous respect for the way the Australian recruit, someone who's taken in, the intake, are actually introduced to the Army and they're stripped of their past, and I mean this in a very positive way, stripped of their past associations. They join into the culture of the Defence Forces, and it's extremely important because that is a key to the success of the Australian Defence Forces. But I'm told, as someone said to me, we send them, we bend them, but we don't mend them. We just turn them loose when they're finished. Is there much work? And apparently that's causing a lot of strife.
So, Senator, that was my point with regard to the work of the Joint Transition Authority and the fundamental reconceptualisation of how we see transition from military service to beyond military service and see it as a period rather than a moment. And could I note that at a graduation for soldiers into the Australian Army a few weeks ago, I was really pleased to see how enthusiastically they spoke of their training and were looking forward to their service. Not just saying that to me, but saying that to the junior officers and the NCOs who were with me and variously moving around the audience. It was a very positive expression of an introduction to service, and it's exactly the same outcome that we want for transition from service. And we are seeing work done that sees that period being about a 2-year transition, and with the idea that while you serve today and you serve for a period of time, the idea of transition actually is seeded at your induction into service in your recruit training. And I think it's a very healthy way to look at service and to then encourage people to start having conversations about transition before they're actually moving into that period of transition, and then Defence reaching out in support of those who would wish it over the following 2 years from transition, typically seeing a glide down of Defence's engagement and a glide up of DVA's engagement where the individual would seek it.